Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Al Mack. This is the Spark Sports MMA main event betting preview show for UFC Vegas 8, Smith versus Rakic. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel as well as follow along on Twitter at SparkSportsBets. Give me a moment while I RT the video for myself on my personal page here. All right, there we go. Also, check out SparkSports.ca. There'll be a link in the description along with this video, as well as the fighter and division trends concerning this fight and the entire card. So, without further ado, let's get right into this. This Saturday, UFC tomorrow, UFC Vegas 8 is live on ESPN Plus with a very intriguing night of cards, night of fights. The card is headlined by the former UFC light heavyweight #1 contender Anthony Smith as he takes on the Austrian Alexander Rakic, who is looking for a bounce back win at 205. Before betting the fight, take a look at the individual betting trends for each fighter that I'm going to go through shared here at Spark Sports. Our 2020 MMA record currently sits at 297, 299 for plus 14.26 units profit. And again, that is a verified record that is independently tracked via OddsPortal.com. The link for that profile is in the description. You can go through and check out every single bet there. It's all there. So, let's get right into it. The main event betting trends. Current odds, Alexander Rakic is a heavy favorite at minus 240, where Anthony Smith, best odds, plus 235. The tail of the tape. So Lionheart Anthony Smith is 32 years old and is much more experienced as a fighter with a professional record of 33-15. Meanwhile, Rakic, 28 years old with a 12-2 professional record. Smith and Rakic both stand at 6'4". However, Rakic has a 2-inch reach advantage on Smith at 78 inches, while Smith is at 76 inches. Recent fighter history. Anthony Smith is coming off a very disappointing loss to Glover Teixeira, who just mauled Smith for 5 rounds and picked up a 5th-round stoppage victory over Smith in May of 2020. Meanwhile, since coming into the UFC in 2017, Alexander Rakic went 4-0. But this streak was stopped by Volkan Ozdemir in December of last year, who beat him by a split decision. And it's an interesting dynamic as both fighters are coming off losses in which they were the favored fighter. Both men are going to be desperately looking to get back into the win column on Saturday night. The measure of expectation for Anthony Smith so far in his career, he's fared moderately against the expectation over his 10-plus years in professional MMA. Since 2011, Smith is a 9-7 record on the money line and has 6 finishes. 6 of his last 12 fights have been by way of inside the distance. Bettors who have wagered $100 on Smith by stoppage over his last 12 appearances have profited plus $658. That's a net return of plus $55 per fight that you've bet on him, whether you win or you lose. So Smith inside the distance is a positive EV bet. It's just when you put that against what we're looking at here with Alexander Rakic, his measure of expectation since making his UFC debut back in 2017, Rakic has gone 4-1, winning 2 of those 5 fights by way of decision. Bettors who have wagered $100 on Rakic to win by decision in his 5 UFC fights have gone 2-3 for plus $485 profit, and then that one a net return of plus $97 per bet, win or lose. So again, now Rakic on the decision line, also a very decent trend, positive EV trend to be following here. Anthony Smith, his fights, the betting trends for his fights since his UFC debut back in 2013, 8 of Anthony Smith's 12 UFC bouts have gone over the betting total. However, only 3 of those 12 fights have reached the distance, but he's fought a lot of main events He's fought, I think, like 4 or 5 main events, so that might be why that's the case there. Rakic, his fights betting trend since his 2017 UFC debut, 3 of Alexander Rakic's 5 have gone the distance, while 3 of the 5 have also gone over the betting total. And then if we look at the light heavyweight division, betting trends since 2019 in the UFC men's light heavyweight division, the under has been slightly profitable at 32, 30, and 1 for a profit of just 0.09 units. And then the favorite has won 61.9% of fights going back to the beginning of 2019, going 39, 23, and 1, but for a loss of minus 2.32 units. So even at 61.9%, if you bet it flat on the favorite in this division, you're not making money. So, and even then, there's no value on the dog either. The dog has lost money as well. So there's no flat trend there. Okay, so the make or break for me. The big thing to remember about this bout tomorrow, although it is a main event, both Smith and Rakic trained for a 3-round fight. The headline of this event was supposed to be Yair Rodriguez versus Abit Magomed Sharipov. And however, on August 5th, it was announced that Rodriguez was unable to compete due to an ankle injury. So this is why this bout between Smith and Rakic is only 3 rounds. The reason to me why this is so important is because Anthony Smith seems to be the kind of fighter that has this big fight ADD kind of, for lack of a better term. He just tends to get overly comfortable in big fights. We've seen in the past with Smith, he's had missteps in 5-round fights where he sort of lets the fight slip away, whether he gets too comfortable in vulnerable positions or ends up allowing his opponent to pick up easy 10-9 rounds. Smith has a tendency not to show up when the fight is longer than 15 minutes. With that being said, I think the shortened main event will likely be to the advantage of Anthony Smith here. As for Rakic, I still consider Rakic to be on a bit of a streak as far as his performance in the UFC goes. I think that split decision loss that he has against Ozdemir, I think that was suspect, and I think he still showed a lot of good form in that fight. So I still consider his stock to be sky high as at this point. And then look, I think Rakic is going to be a problem for Smith here. Rakic has a lot of good movement. He utilizes the low kick very well, which he's probably going to be using quite a lot of against Anthony Smith. Smith stands very heavy on his front leg, and you have to think that Rakic is going to take note of that and likely expose it. And then Rakic is also a very productive counterpuncher and he's got some great timing on his counterattack. He has really incredible hand speed where it's very excuse me. It's very difficult to pick up his timing and to predict where the attack is going to come from. He's very versatile, and he's got a lot of I guess you could call it like a striking depth. He's just got a deep arsenal, and I think that Smith might have trouble with Rakic his counterattack because he's a very tucked up fighter who fights with his hands up, and he almost telegraphs his attacks before carrying them out. And if Smith gives out any kind of tell on the offensive here, Rakic is going to be able to counter him with precision, and that could lead to a lot of trouble for Anthony Smith. I don't think Smith has fought a guy like this before, who's so talented on the counterattack. Another thing is, sorry, losing my voice a little bit. Another thing is, Smith is quite tall, and because of that and the tucked up stance, he leaves himself open for a lot of body attacks. Again, especially with that tucked up stance he utilizes. Rakic has a great ability to mix up his striking. Like I said, he's a deep striker, and if he leads off the fight with an attack on Smith's lead leg, he will have the opportunity to transition to attacking the body once Smith's rhythm is thrown off due to those low kicks that he might absorb. Now, this is not a foregone conclusion for me, but Anthony Smith might come into this fight and impose his will on things, but it's really not in his character, especially at this point in his career. We've seen Smith let fights slip away to either lose the fight in the later rounds, lose by decision, or turn a fight that he should have won or that he should have been dominating into a fight that was closer than it should have been. And it's just his nature as a fighter. He almost fights at the level of his opponent in a sense. But yeah, he could prove me wrong. I still think Anthony Smith is a very talented striker, but he sort of is stuck in this mindset of he has to look for the perfect shot, which takes away from his ability to turn up the volume on his opponents when he has to. This is why I don't think Smith is going to want to stand and bang with Rakic. Who's going to be going to find he's going to find that Rakic is much more dangerous than the likes of Teixeira or Gustafsson, guys that he's fought recently. I think Rakic might be on another level as far as striking goes, and I think Anthony Smith is aware of that, or he's going to figure it out very quickly. The reason that I say that is because Rakic has the ability to turn up the volume if he has to, and he really does his best striking, again, off the counterattack, which we saw against Jimmy Manuwa last year in that very impressive first-round knockout. But again, the path to victory for Anthony Smith, will likely be on the mat, I think. But he'll have to be very careful to not give up position when doing so, as Rakic has a devastating ground and pound game. So Smith is going to be looking to attack the neck and set up a submission. We haven't really seen Rakic's submission defense. It hasn't really been tested in the UFC, and if anybody's going to do that, I think it's Anthony Smith. Deciding factors for me. Okay, so the big deciding factor for me in this fight is that it's just a 3-round fight. If this fight was 5 rounds, I would probably be taking Rakic inside the distance. But from seeing the type of warrior that Anthony Smith is and the type of heart he has, literally to the point where the MMA community was calling for his corner to be punished for not throwing in the towel when he fought Glover Teixeira, when he was just beat up for 5 rounds and took a lot of punishment to the point where his teeth were literally falling out. So he's a warrior, and he's very talented, and there's absolutely there's no doubt in my mind really that there's no doubt in my mind that Rakic is going to knock out Anthony Smith. He's not going to submit him. He's either going to win by knockout or he's going to win by decision. This won't be one of those slow roll. This won't be one of those slow roll 5th round TKOs like we saw with Teixeira. It's not going to be a stoppage by mercy from just him getting pounded. He's either going to knock him out. Or he's going to win by decision. It's not going to be one of those where he's just going to be on top of him, because Smith is good for a 15-minute fight. Once you get into those championship rounds, he starts to, depending on where he's at on the scorecards, or depending on where he's at in the momentum of the fight, he really exhales, I find, in those later rounds. And I think he's not, the big thing here is I think he's not going to want to keep it. He's going to be wanting to keep his mind on preventing himself from getting knocked out. He's a smart fighter. He's got a high fight IQ. So the way I see this fight going is it's going to be Rakic by decision. Yeah, like I said, it's not going to be a slow roll. Smith is a smart guy. He's going to try to get the fight to the ground. So a lot of this fight is going to take place on the mat, and because of that, we'll probably see a little bit of toe-to-toe, a little bit of stand-up in the beginning of the first round, or the first few seconds of each round. But beyond that, I think a lot of this fight is going to take place on the ground and up against the cage. So yeah, I like Rakic. I like Rakic in this fight. The odds on Rakic on the money line are almost unbettable. I don't trust him enough to take that steep of a price. I think he's at like minus 250, minus 240. But I do like him by decision at plus 250. And you're kind of betting on Smith here to be able to survive, and Rakic to be able to pull away and to just dominate the fight, which I think is going to happen. As far as the total goes, I think we see this one go to the judges, like I said, for the same exact reasons as I explained. Rakic is a very calculated striker, and so Smith is going to do everything he can to stay outside of his range. And we'll likely see this fight go to the mat, like I said. And I just think that Anthony Smith is too smart to try and stand and bang with this guy, who to me, he just seems like he's on a total other level of striking in comparison to Anthony Smith. However, I could be wrong. Smith could prove he could prove me wrong, and he could very well go out there and starch Rakic. But based on what I've seen in his last few fights, and in comparison to what I've seen from Alexander Rakic, he's just not on the same level. And when it comes to timing, hand speed, counterattack, so if Anthony Smith is smart, which I think he is, I think he's a very high IQ fighter. We're going to see this one contested mostly on the mat and up against the cage. I think Smith is a warrior, and he's probably going to take a lot of damage, and the fight's probably just going to go the 15 minutes, and we'll see it go to the judges, and we'll probably see Rakic pick up a unanimous decision. So, yeah, give me the over 1.5 rounds prop at minus 150. Give me fight goes the distance at plus 140. And then again, Alexander Rakic to win by decision at plus 240. All right. So, yeah, those are the best bets. Thanks for watching. I'll be back later this evening with the Division Trends video for UFC Vegas 8. The preliminaries and the main card, which should be up by tomorrow morning. So yeah, follow along at Twitter, Spark Sports Bets, and be sure to visit SparkSports.ca for all of our current sports betting content. So thanks again. See you later.